As it please the court, my
Yes,
lord,
sir.
thank you very much for the indulgence.
Okay.
Thank you. Brigadier, when you got cross-examined by Mr. Ramusipili,
Uchambuzo mbuzo ubabura msipiti.
and he touched base on the firearm as
Uke
was
wathinta indaba yesibhamu.
as it was identified by some of the witnesses who were in the house on the date of the incident.
Bakhona ke abanye babengaphakathi ofakazi endlini abakwazi nabo ukusho ukuthi sona leso sibhamu.
Amongst others, it was Mr. Majala
Umnyobo bamadlala
who gave the description of the firearm as a firearm with a wheel.
with a what?
With a wheel. Wheel.
Oh, wheel. Yabo.
Yeah.
Uthi ke kuyisibhamu lesi esasinento engathi yisonde ekinqikayo.
He also referred to the identity kit that was compiled at the request of the investigating team.
Manje ukuthi khona ne-identity eyenzwa icelwe abaphenyayo.
Where in one of the witnesses, specifically Kelly Kumalo, refers to the firearm that was in possession of the suspect who carried the firearm as an old revolver.
Manje ke nalapho ke uKelly Khumalo ilapha chaza khona ukuthi ke lesi sibhamu esasiphethwe abasolwa kwakuyivolovolo elidana.
Now your response to that was that Mr. Madlala and Kelly Kumalo are not experts in firearms. They could not have said that was a revolver because they were not experts in firearms. Am I correct?
Manje
Or did
kona
I get
sithi
you
ke
well?
laba ababili ababona uchwepheshe beyibhamu uKelly Khumalo ababona uchwepheshe beyibhamu anginjalo.
No, that's not how I said it, my lord.
Angishongo kanjalo mina.
Can you please remind me?
Yeah, what I said, my lord. So let's just deal with identity kit. The identity kit that we dealt with Mr. Ramsipile, it relates to the statements or the interview that was conducted by Warrant Officer Steenkamp.
Manje ke sikhuluma i-identity kit leyo ekhulunywa ngayo baba Ramsipiti ila i-identity kit leyenzwa ubaba Steenkamp warrant office.
And the warrant officer then indicates in her statement that when she interviewed Kelly Khumalo, then she referred to the will, the old will, what Advocate Mnisi is saying.
Okay, manje ke lapho ke ila kuvela khona lolu daba lolu lwesonde elidala.
Then I then said, my lord, in my response that in the statements, because I said you need to take that into context with the statement of Ms. Kelly Khumalo. In her statements that she made, she refers to a firearm. She does not talk about a revolver. So that's first with regard to Ms. Kelly Khumalo.
Manje ke asenike ku-statementini sika Kelly Khumalo uthi yena lapho ukhuluma nje ngevolovolo.
And then I then said, when it comes to, I think I touched base also on Tumelo Madlala and Togosisi Twala, where I said, I think it's Mr. Twala who said he was not an expert. He made a further statement to say he's not sure about the type of firearm that was.
Siyeke kuTumela Madlala noMthokozisi Twala laba bachaza ukuthi bona abazi ukuthi kwakuyinhlobo nesibhamu.
Then I then said, my lord, so in the context, so I didn't, and this is the right part, or this is rather the part that I want it to come out clear, that when I said none of them, and I said everyone that was inside the house actually possessed a license for the firearm. In other words, what I was saying, these people were not trained to make what you will normally label as an experience identification of firearms, because they don't. But I didn't say, it was not meant to say they can't describe them. I was simply saying, I even used the term lack of expertise, that they were not there because they don't possess a firearm license.
Manje ke esengisholo engizama ukuchaza engifuna ukuthi kuzwakale kahle ukuthi labantu ababelapha ngaphakathi endlini akekho nayedwa one license noma imvume yokuba nesibhamu. Okusho ukuthi ke abanalo ulwazi olulingene ukuthi bangakazi ukuthi ke bakhombe noma bachaze ukuthi isibhamu lesasinjani.
So it was in that context, my lord.
Wathi kwasikhuluma sikhuluma kuyo leyo ndaba.
So you have no issue with regard to how, in terms of the identification of the firearm, then they went on to describe it.
Please come again.
Then you've got no issue in terms of how they identified the firearm and them describing it as such.
No, my lord. The statements that I don't have issues with statements that were taken by the previous investigating team when this matter happened, because I was not there. How do I can't make an issue. All I said in that context is that this is what they've said. Others qualified to say they don't have expertise in terms of firearms. But then I moved on. I remember in that aspect that the factual objective evidence that we have is that a 9mm projectile was found at the crime scene based on the 212 statement of Colonel Mangena. So that was objective. But insofar as what was said, my lord, I can't have issues with that because I was not there and that's what is contained in the statements.
Mina ke anginankinga ngondlela ekwachazwa ngalo into engayisho nje ukuthi ke bonke nje laba la ngaphakathi endlini ababengenabo ubuchwepheshe bokusho bukwazi ukuchaza isibhamu into esingayisho ebesingayisho nje ukuthi ke inhlamvu yatholakala lapha kusho ukuthi kwatholakala inhlamvu elingana ne9mm lokho ukuthi sakuthola kusho uKolonel Mangena.
Thank you. And it's also so that in your course of investigating this case and trying to find out exactly what could have happened in the house, you never consulted with either Madlala or Kelly with regard to the statement wherein they mentioned that the person who was in possession of the firearm had a revolver, and Madlala saying it was a firearm with a quill.
Manje ke kusho ukuthi ke ukukhulumisana no Madlala no Kelly kusho ukuthi anizange nigqile ekuzameni ukuthi nize nifike la bechaza khona ukuthi ke njengoba uKelly wathi kwakuyivolo no Madlala esho ukuthi kwakuyisibhamu esineso.
My lord, I did indicate that we didn't consult with Ms. Kelly Kumalo. Insofar as Mr. Madlala, he came to testify, and I can't take it further than the statements that are contained in the docket. The only statement that I took personally from Mr. Madlala relates to the ID parade. That's the only part. Insofar as what was said before, I think the statement speaks for themselves, my lord.
Manje ke mama Madlala ngithi yena weza wazoletha ubufakazi bakhe kodwa ke uKelly Kumalo njoba sengishela asizange siqoqe sigqile naye kodwa ke into esayikhuluma kakhulu noMadlala yile ndaba ye anika istatement ngayo indaba ye-ID parade.
Thank you. Just to have a general overview on this point, Mr. Madlala, over and above the statement that he gave where he described the firearm as a firearm with a wheel, he also confirmed that here at court that the firearm that he saw, it was a firearm with a wheel, so that you can't comment on because we are not there. Not so.
Sorry, you are fading a little bit.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir. I am saying just to have a general overview of what Madlala said. He also confirmed in his oral testimony here at court that the firearm that he saw in possession of the perpetrator who had that firearm, the type of a firearm was a firearm with a wheel.
Nje uMadlala ke waletha isiqinisekiso sokuthi isibhamu ayasibona siphethwe yilo wayephethe isibhamu kwakuyisibhamu esinesono.
My Lord, correct. Yes, I was not here and I won't be able to comment on what Mr. Magala says. I can only refer to the forensic evidence that was found at the crime scene, and that relates to a 9mm, my Lord.
Angeke ngasho lutho ngalokwasho ukusho umdlala engasiza enkantolo ngako ukuthi ngikhulume ngobufakazi obuphuma kwa forensic okusho ukuthi ke inhlamvu le yathola lapha uhlobo le 9mm.
I'm not so sure whether you'll be in a position to say something on this. I'm taking my chances there. Yes. You really do not know. If you know, you'll say you know. What are the implications of a forensic or of an exhibit that is picked up at a scene, put in a forensic bag, but when it reaches the forensic science laboratory where the exhibit is supposed to be dealt with, the expert at the forensic science laboratory discovered that the bag of that the seal of that bag has been tampered with. It means it was opened. You would not know what the legal implications of this are. Not so.
Ukuthi awazi ukuthi umphumela ukuthi ke umuntu athathe kuthathwe inhlamvu endaweni yesigameko ifakwe isikhwameni ebese ukuthi uma seyifika la ifanele yohlaziwa khona bese kutholakala ukuthi ke lesi sikhwama lesi inhlamvu ayifake kusona sasingasicilelwe awazi ukuthi ke umphumela lo kuyini.
My Lord, my understanding, the chain of evidence will be compromised if in that instant that is given to me, because the chain is not maintained. That will be the implication.
Ngiyazi ukuthi kuzochaza ke manje ukuthi kuzoba nenkinga ngendlela lembukiso le ephethwe ngayo.
Thank you, Brigadier. You know, I got a bit rattled by the stomach bakiana, you know.
I understand.
Yeah, it went into my head. So I'm a bit rattled, you know, in terms of my arrangement of things. But nonetheless, let's proceed. You spoke a lot about common denominator. Do you still remember this?
Ukhulume kakhulu nge-common denominator yakhumbula lekho.
No, I don't remember. On what context? Common denominator, perhaps, my Lord, if maybe more elaboration can be given there, I don't recall.
Angikhumbule ukuthi ngikhulume ngayo ukuthi sikhuluma ngani.
You have been telling this court that in the course of your investigation, trying to find a collaboration, you find a number of common denominators in the type of investigation that you did that would link accused number 3 with the commission of this offense.
Ukuthi wena ungathi uhambe uthola izinto eziningi ezifananayo eziholela ekutheni ubone ukuthi uyasoleka umsolwa wesithathu.
For instance, I'm not so sure whether you wanted to answer first.
Yes, I wanted to say, my Lord, I don't recall. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mnisi. Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought you were done. So what I'm saying, my Lord, I don't recall the common denominator. You know, that's there because I'm trying to recall what I may have said, but I don't recall indicating that I found common denominators that implicate accused 3. Is that terminology? Perhaps I said it differently, but I don't seem to have a recollection of that, my Lord.
Ngabe ngisebenzisa amanye amagama kodwa angikhumbuli ngikhuluma ukuthi khona ezinye izinto ezibonakala zifana ku lokufakazi noma imibukiso eholela noma ebandakanya umsolo wesithathu.
Okay, let me assist you. This is what you said about a common denominator. You said the number 1, there were photos of a bag that was full of money that was found in the downloads of accused number 3's phone, and those photos were again found in the downloads that were made in Kelly's phone. You still remember?
Kuthiwa-ke kukhona izithombe zesikhwama esigcwele imali ezatholakala kuma-download efoni kaMsolwa, futhi-ke leso sithombe satholakala efonini kaKay.
Yes, my lord, I do recall, but that aspect was not said in terms of the linkage or the linking of accused 3 to the crime. It was said on the context of linkages or common linkages. In other words, that bag appearing in the phone of accused 3, in the downloads of the phone of accused 3, as well as in that one of Ms. Kelly Kumalo and Mr. Longotwala. So it was in relation to the linkages, my lord, not the commission of this offense. I didn't say anything that photo of a see-through bag of money links him to this actual offense. I don't recall saying that, my lord.
Angizange ngisho ukuthi lesi sikhwama lesi esasinemali simxhumanisa naleli cala leli engikushilo nje ukuthi lesi sikhwama lesi sithombe salesi sikhwama esibonakala ngaphakathi sinemali siyaqhuma ke umsolwa wesithathu no Kelly Kumalo no Longwethwala.
Yes, my lord, that's my answer.
Now, if I did not understand you in that context, then what would have been the relevance of you making that linkage between Kelly Kumalo through that bag of money, between Kelly Kumalo, Longwethwala, and accused number 3 in this trial?
Manje yini ke iqhumanisa Kelly Kumalo Longwethwala nomsolwa wesithathu ngalezo sithombe kule mali?
Yes, my lord. So the court will recall, my lord, and I dealt with this part, that response came as a result of Mr. Ramsipil taking me through A225, I think if I recall, or 227, which is a statement where I made an application for the arrest of Ms. Kelly Kumalo. Now, in that statement, Mr. Ramsipil took me through certain sentences that I've mentioned, my lord. And just before the linkages, he took me through to a paragraph where I mentioned the 4 cell phone numbers of Ms. Kelly Kumalo, and he wanted to know what is the reason I've mentioned them. Then he took me down now to the part where I say there's linkages between Ms. Kelly Kumalo, accused 3, and accused 5. Accused 5, we dealt with him, and then it then came to accused 3. And this is where now the bag of money, see-through, came into the picture, my lord. And subsequent to that, I then added the other part that became a point of contention where, you know, that exhibit 00 had to be now brought to court. So that it was answered in that context. So I was being led by Mr. Ramsipil in terms of saying, comment, why did you do this? And then I answered in that context, not something that I brought forward on my own.
Lo angilethanga nje kulethwa yimina kodwa ke lokho kwavela ngesikhathi ubaba Ramsipili sikhuluma ngestatement sokuboshwa kuka esikhuluma ngokuboshwa kaKelly Kumalo ukuthi khona ke nje amagama engawasebenzisa noma imisho engayisebenzisa lapho kuleso statement ngoba kwavela nje ukuthi khona lama cell phone awu4 awatholakala manje ke imbangela ukuthi ke kukhulunywe ngalesi sikhwama ukuthi ke bengifuna ukuzama ukuchaza ukuxhumana kwalabantu lo msolwa wesihlanu okuholela kumsolwa wesithathu nomsolwa no Kelly Kumalo no Longwethwala yikho ke sikhulume ngalesi sikhwama semali.
Yes, my lord, I'm done.
Thank you, Brigadier. Are you then saying that the mentioning of that evidence in this trial have no significance in whatsoever in respect of accused number 3 being complicit in this matter?
Manje kusho ukuthi ke lokho ke obusanda ukuchaza kusho ukuthi akunamthelela nomncane kuleli cala lesikhuluma ngalo ngomsolwa wesithathu.
Thank you, madam.
Yes, my lord. We think that's an unfair question to the witness. This is the the question that has to be determined by this court after all the evidence has been presented on the conspectus of all the evidence as to whether it bears any significance as to the issues that are in dispute.
As it pleases the court, my lords. This witness says the reason why he had to mention that he was trying to create a linkage. Oh, he was trying to indicate, not to create. He was trying to indicate that there's a linkage in terms of the cell phones of, if I understood him well, in terms of this, a linkage between the cell phone of Kelly Kumalo, accused number 3, and Longwe Twala. Now that was said in the context of this trial, which is the reason why I am saying that, is he then saying, him mentioning that aspect of evidence in this trial that has no significance whatsoever in accused number 3's being allegedly being complicit in the commission of these offenses. He's an investigating officer, my lord. That question is very relevant. In other words, what was then the relevance of him mentioning that in this trial?
Njeke yini imbangela ukuthi uveze lokho uma kuwukuthi wena uthi uchaza yini ukuthi akunamthelela nomncane ekutheni kuqulwe icala likaMsola wesithathu la kule nkantolo?
My lord, I'll repeat again. I've indicated that the response was not initiated. I think Advocate Mnisi did place it on record that this response came out through the cross-examination by Mr. Ramsipil.
Yes.
And I agree with that. And I'm saying it is Mr. Ramsipil and not the state who took me to A225. And we went through that statement. So it was a response to his clarity, where he was seeking clarity to say, explain this part. And the response was given in that context. So I was responding, as Advocate Mnisi is asking me now, I have to respond. So it was not something that we brought in through the evidence in chief, and I indicated, my lord, that the purpose of that statement was to apply for the warrant of arrest for Ms. Kelly Kumalo, because at that stage, I believe there was enough evidence to add her as accused, or accused number 6. We even went that far with Mr. Ramsipin.
Bese ngichazile kabanzana kule nkantolo ukuthi lokhu kwavela ngenxa yokuthi ubaba Ramsipili wayengibuza ngestatement lesi ku A225 lapho ke ayedinga khona ukuthi ngimchazele ukuthi kwakwenzekani kulesi statement. Ngachaza ukuthi cha lolu daba lolu kwawukuthi sasizama ukuthi uKelly Khumalo sibona ukuthi angafakwa yini kuleli cala, and sasikhuluma ukuthi wayefanele abe umsolo wesithupha, kuzange kube into eyalethwa umshushisi.
As it is the court, madam, I'm wondering if I can. I'm saying I'm wondering if I can just request for very short adjournment, madam. I think I'm getting more uncomfortable.
What's wrong with you, sir?
It's a stomach bug.
You want us to adjourn?
I'm requesting just a very brief adjournment, my lord.
No, if you want us to adjourn because you are feeling uncomfortable, unhealthy, I mean, I can't force a person who's sick to go through the rigors of a trial. If you want to.
I would appreciate that, my lord.
Appreciate what?
An adjournment, because I don't know if I'm requesting a short adjournment, whether this whole thing will persist or what.
Okay. Mr. Nimal, I see you. Hello?
Request is seconded.
Mr. Ramsipi?
I do not have any objection if we adjourn at this stage.
No objection. Okay, fine. I can't If a person says feeling uncomfortable, then it has got to do with the stomach bug. Fine. Just one last remark before we adjourn. Mr. Mchadi, Mnisi, sorry. You want this witness to give an opinion.
Excuse me, my lord.
You want this witness to give an opinion about that evidence. I thought you said his duty here is to place the evidence before court. You don't want his opinion, you don't want his conclusion, it is the duty of the court. You remember saying that?
Yes, I do remember those.
Right, fine. You can adjourn. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock.